now let's say we have some geometry here. So before we do a program, so first we need to set our WCS on my machine, right? The same WCS I need to set it to my component also. So how do I set that? So you can go to transform. There is an option called move to corner as my origin. So I can straight away click on my left top corner. So you can see the complete component gets transformed to my origin point. So once we do with the origin, then I can go to my machine. So now drawing is ready. I need to do my program. So how do I do my program? So first we need to select the machine. So on which machine we are going to do. So let's say I'm going to do it milling. So I'm going to mill default. So until and unless you select your machine, your toolpath window will not open. So here you have your complete 2D program. So once the machine is selected, I'm going to do the stock setup. Means the raw material I'm going to define to my software. So for that, I'll go to properties. So under here, I'm going to click on stock setup. So here, as soon as you click on the stock setup, a new window will pop out here. So here you can define your shape, whether it is rectangular, cylindrical, or solid mesh. Solid mesh, you can directly select your solid model. So that will consider as the stock. And if you want to import any STL files or solid files, you can import here. So let's say since it's a 2D program and I know the raw material size, I can straight away go to rectangle and define my values. In my X, what is the value? In my Y, what is the value? And my Z is the value. Or you can auto identify using these options. So here you can use select corner and define your two corners so that your X and Y get selected up. So then I'm going to define my Z. Okay. So here we'll just on the display and say okay. So here you can see the double dash lines. So this is my stock as per my machine. So once this stock setup is done, we'll proceed with the programming. So one more thing before going to programming, I'll just explain you the selection window. What is about wireframe chaining and about your solid chaining. So when you say on your wireframe chaining, so here you can find C plane and 3D. So when you keep it in the C plane, so let's say have different view geometries. And when I start selecting using C plane, and when I select a geometry in a top plane, and when I select a geometry in a different plane, you will get an error message because this first chain what I have selected, it's a top plane. So I'll have to select the chains only which is available in my top plane. I cannot select the chains from the different plane. So when it is in 3D, so I can select any planes. I can select my geometry from any planes. So it will consider. So then comes my selection method. So in selection method, we have chain type of selection. So what is meant by chain is, so when you select, the complete loop gets selected. So till its end point, even if it is an open chain, so from the start till its end point, this chain will get selected. Then partial majorly we use in our turning applications. So even in milling we use, like let's say I wanted to have some clamp here. Okay, so I ordered with some clamp and I wanted to machine only this chain, this particular chain, and up to this chain. I don't want to machine this chain. So what I need to do for that, I can go to my toolpath. So the chain selection procedure, I'll use partial. So I'll say which is my start line and which is my end line. So whatever lines available, continuation from the first chain to the last chain, that gets selected automatically. So that is about my partial. Then window. when you say window, you have to drag a window and select from where it has to start. So here you can see, when I click on window, here you can see sketch a window to select. I'm going to sketch, then it's saying sketch approximate start point, so from where it has to start. So when I select, so whatever change available within the window, that's get selected. So then polygon you have to just start creating a polygon. So within that polygon, whatever is available, that is getting selected. Then point. So point majorly we use for our plunging data. I'm going to define where my tool has to plunge. So for that I'm going to define using point. So area will not vary much. So then is our single. So when you say single, let's say I want to machine this particular chain and this particular chain. So in that case, neither I can go with partial, I'll say apply, and I'm going to go this manner. Means I'm going to use 3 steps. So instead of that, I can use single chain. I'm going to define this chain and I want to machine this chain. So only these 2 particular chain get selected and I can do my program. And vector. So when you drag a line, okay, and say enter, so whatever it's getting intersected, whatever the line which you are creating which is intersecting any wireframe, that gets selected. That is about vector. So this is about my selection method, and here we have few selection uh, which it will be very useful. So here the first option is last means, let's say I have selected some program here. So I selected a chain and let's say I have generated a program. Then when I do any other operation, okay, and I wanted to select the chain which I used previously. So for that, what I can do, I can straight away say last. So whatever chains selected in the previous selection method, so those chains get selected automatically. So for one single chain, I can select manually. When I select many chains and I want to select once again for a different toolpath, I can straight away say use my last chains. So that gets selected. So this is chain similar will forget, and this chain. So let's say I have selected n number of chains and I want to just deselect my last one. For that, I can select my unselect. So the previous one gets unselected one by one. And end chain is nothing but, let's say when I use my partial and I've just ended till here, and now I wanted to use this particular chain, I don't want this chain to get selected and I want to end this first chain. So for that, I can say end chain, then I can proceed with my next chain. So this way you can use my end chain. So here then we have unselect all. So this option we saw for unselecting the last one, and this we are going to unselect my complete chain whatever I have done here. Okay. So then when I say partial or any kind of chain and I wanted to okay, so in that particular case, when I do any chain selection, here you can see the command, the arrows in a different colors. It means the software can move the downside also and it can move in this direction also. So we have to define which direction is required. So the red which indicates, it shows it is going to move to this direction. If you want to change, you can flip here, so you can adjust. Okay, so now if you want to take your next branch, you can take straight away here. So this way you can use this branch option, and if you want to go back to the previous branch, you can take this, and then is your start. So here you can change your start point. Now you can see the start point is here, and if I want my start point to this particular point, I can straight away say next point. So this way I can use my start. Then is our reverse option. Let's say now my tool is moving in this particular direction, okay, anti-clockwise or the counterclockwise, and I wanted it to move to my clockwise direction. So in that case, I can say reverse. So you can see the direction of my tool also gets changed. Okay, so this is about my starter end. So this will forget, this will not worry about much. So these are the major things we required to do our chain selection in 2D way. Then whatever you saw here, selection method, same thing will apply for our solid also. Let's say this Mastercam, in Mastercam software, using a solid model also you can do your program without extracting any curves from your solid model. You can do your chain selection. So whatever you saw here, like chain, you saw your partial, so the same thing you can see. You can see loop is nothing but the chain. You can select using face, you can select using partial loop, that is your partial option. Then single edge, that is nothing but your single entity what you have done, so that is your single edge. So this we will see when we import some solid model and do our program. So now we'll select this particular chain and